Hi friends, my name is Katya. This is Kat Reads a Lot. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a TBR video for the month of July. A few months ago, I did these rainbow TBR jar videos where I took paint samples that I picked up from the paint store and I picked different colors to match book covers, and then I used those colors to pick my TBR. I'll link those ones either in the cards or down below in case you want like a more full explanation. So basically, I'm going to be using the colors to pick the books that I read and making sure that the color of the paint sample is represented largely, or at least a little bit, on the cover of the book. The reason that I really like doing the TBR this way is that it gives me a little bit of flexibility. I can pick multiple different books for one color, so that in case something like isn't working for me or I don't like a book as much as I'm expecting to, I still can represent every color in my monthly TBR. And I've got my Snoopy mug and my paint samples right here, which I will be shuffling up and picking from. I will say I went to the library a few days ago and I got that stack of books that you can probably see behind me, and so I'm like hoping and praying that the colors that I pick can be represented in those books because I'm really excited to read all of them. I have Betty by Tiffany McDaniel that I just actually started reading today, and I already have that 5-star feeling about it. I also have The Familiar. I have Ali Hazelwood's Not in Love. I have Ali Hazelwood's Bride, The Vampires of El Norte, and House of Sky and Breath. I'm actually just finishing reading House of Earth and Blood right now, so I'm hoping to be able to start the sequel as well. But in order to be able to read all of those, I'm gonna have to pick a lot of blue, a lot of pink, and so cross your fingers for me. I don't know how this is gonna go. Okay, these are shuffling around. I promise I cannot see any of these. They're so hard to grab. Yellow. Wow, okay, that is exactly not at all like anything in that stack. Maybe if I stretch, I could say Vampires of El Norte because the typography is yellow. I feel like it's a pretty good match in terms of the shade of yellow. So let me know if you think that that counts because I would really like to read this. I'll pick another yellow book, but I'll tell you what this book is about. This book, as far as I know, is a horror gothic romance about the Mexican-American War, except what if there were also vampires? We follow our main characters Nina and Nestor, childhood sweethearts, and Nestor has been on the run from his grief ever since he believed Nina died 9 years ago. This seems a little creepy, a little romantic. I like that there's a historical element to it, and I'm definitely excited to hopefully read it this month. They're yellow books. Yellow. Is this yellow? This one is not an exact match, but I have been meaning to read Trick Mirror and I've been talking about it a lot on this channel, so I'm sorry if I'm like talking about it too much, but I would really like to read this book at least this summer, if not this month. This is a collection of essays that Gia Tolentino has written mostly about pop culture. I feel like she has a very sharp wit in the essays that I've read from her before. The reason that I was interested to pick this up in the first place is because I saw a TikTok, I think from Jack Edwards, saying that if you like the Barbie movie that you would like this collection of essays, and I did like the Barbie movie, so I'm excited to hopefully read this as well. Let's pick our next victim, our next color. Oh, please be blue or pink. Purple? It looks a little bit more red, like a red maroon on the camera. In person, it's slightly more purple. Oh my goodness. This would be a good one. Okay, this one's perfect. This is called The Stars Too Fondly. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but this color really fits really well into the outer like window design. This is a sci-fi rom-com that follows a group of teenagers on a spaceship. I actually first heard of this book because I got an email asking if I wanted to request a copy, and I'll just tell you how they described it in this email so that you can get an idea of what made me so interested in the first place. It's a hilarious and emotional debut with iconic references to 90s rom-coms and Star Trek, critiques of scientific hubris and capitalism. It follows 4 besties who really truly didn't mean to steal that spaceship but end up getting launched into an adventure alongside a snarky hologram who resembles the ship's missing and hot captain. So obviously I did request a copy from HarperCollins, and I'm so excited to read this. I feel like it'll just be a fun romp and probably something that will be good to read during the summer. Now, if I don't end up reading this, I know I've been talking about how much I want to read Attached at the Hip, and I do think if I'm like comparing these correctly, that this purple is similar to the shade that is in the sunset and in the highlights of this book. Maybe that's a stretch, I don't know, but I just like keep meaning to read this. This is a survivor themed rom-com about two characters who are on a survival reality dating show and end up falling in love. And I just really need to stop talking about it and finally read it. So that will be my second option for this color. What is this? It's just white. It's called Polar Bear. Okay, let's see. Okay, this is not entirely white. In fact, it is mostly black, but the figure that stands out on the cover is white, and so I'm going to say that it counts. This is another vampire book. We follow a vampire called Misery Lark, who is the daughter of a powerful vampire councilman, and she ends up in a marriage of convenience to the werewolf, or he's not called a werewolf, he's called a were, the were alpha Lowmoreland. Now, I've really enjoyed Ali Hazelwood in the past. As far as I know, this is her first foray into a little bit more of a fantasy supernatural romance as opposed to just her regular contemporary romances. And I've heard overwhelmingly good things, I think, about this book, so I'm excited to read it and to see if I like it. I do have a pretty good feeling that I'm going to have fun with it at the very, very least. So yes, I'm not even going to pick another book for this color. It'll just be Bride. Let's do one last color. I really desperately want the color blue, or I would even take pink so that I can put Betty and Not in Love on this list, because those are the ones that I'm like most excited to read this month. So wish me luck, and I'm gonna pick okay, that's not what I wanted, but it's okay. It's okay. I did just buy a green book very recently that I am interested in, and that is Shark Heart. This color is called Pickle, and this book is about a man who starts slowly turning into a shark. A gorgeous debut novel of marriage, motherhood, metamorphosis, and letting go. Now, I don't know a lot of details about this book, but I'm pretty sure we exist in a world where turning into animals is kind of a disease. So it's something that is rare and tragic, but it's not necessarily like the shocking thing that it would be in the real world. Like, it's not normal, but it's not unheard of, and it's just another kind of deadly disease that can affect a person. But I just have a feeling it's going to be really, really fascinating and weird. I've been really into weird books lately. I just finished reading Patricia Wants to Cuddle, and it left me wanting more like strange books. It also sounds like it's going to be sad and weird is not always something that appeals to me, but is often something that appeals to me. And this says that at first, Wren internally resists her husband's fate. Is there a way for them to be together after Lewis changes? And it just sounds, like I said, sad and weird, and I'm definitely excited to read this. I am going to pick one more color and just hope and pray that it will be blue or pink. Oh my goodness. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. This is Betty by Tiffany McDaniel. This is not a perfect match, but I am running with it because I started this book today, and you guys, the writing in this is so stunning. I was reading this on the bus this morning, and I literally just reading the prologue where her father was talking about, oh golly, where her father was talking about their hearts being made of glass. Like, the way that it was written and the relationship that he could already see between the father and the daughter just started to make me cry. And I was tearing up on the bus, and there was a guy sitting across from me who started to like give me a weird look, and I think he realized that this book was making me emotional. It was literally the prologue. I just thought it was written so beautifully. I'm still a child, only as tall as my father's shotgun. Dad's asking me to bring it with me as I go out to where he's resting on the hood of the car. He lifts the shotgun out of my hands and lays it across his lap. When I sit next to him, I can feel the summer heat coming off his skin like he's just another tin roof on a hot day. To tell you what this book is about, it is, quote, a stunning lyrical novel set in the rolling foothills of the Appalachians about a young girl and the family truths that will haunt her for the rest of her life. This is the story of Betty Carpenter, born in 1954 to a white mother and a Cherokee father, the sixth of 8 siblings. The world that they inhabit in the rural town of Breathitt, Ohio is one of poverty and violence, both from the outside outside and devastatingly within. Inspired by generations of her own family, Tiffany McDaniel sets out to free the past by delivering this heartbreaking yet magical story. Like I said, I just started it today. I'm on page 67 and I am definitely looking forward to continuing this in July and seeing what my final rating is. I'm already getting that 5-star feeling, but I also feel like it's going to devastate me. So that's Betty. The other very blue book that I have is House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas. Chloe and I are reading House of Earth and Blood together right now and really enjoying it much more than I expected to. This is a fantasy following our main character Bryce, whose best friend is murdered in the first few chapters of the book, and the rest of it surrounds her kind of trying to solve the murder and figure out what happened with the help of a fallen angel named Hunt. My favorite thing about this book is, first of all, Bryce as a character. I think she's so funny and so like down to earth, and I love her dynamic with Hunt. I think they are very well matched. I love the tension that's bubbling between them and just their backstories and the way that they're able to relate to one another. And then I also really like that this is a quite modern fantasy. I'm not used to seeing like cell phones in my fantasy books. That's just not the kind of fantasy novel that I typically go for. And I feel like the technology is integrated pretty seamlessly into this book, and so I'm really enjoying this and definitely looking forward to picking up this sequel. And then as long as I have them here, I might as well talk about Not in Love and The Familiar. Even if I didn't necessarily pick them for my like official TBR, I do have to read them before the library loan is due, so hopefully I'll also be able to squeeze these in. Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood is her most recent contemporary romance novel. Now, I did read the author's note at the beginning of the book that said that this book, compared to previous Hazelwoods, is tonally a little bit different. She calls it a little bit less of a rom-com and more of an erotic romance. It of course has a happily ever after, but it also contains some serious themes, and she wanted to give people a heads up at the beginning of the book, which I always think is really nice. I love it when authors think to include those kinds of trigger warnings or content warnings. But this book follows our main character, Rue. She has a successful career as a biotech engineer at a promising startup in the field of food science called Klein. Now, the other love interest is called Eli Kilgore, which is like the most villainous name I'm sure anyone could think of. But Mr. Kilgore and his business partners want Klein. And he is, quote, a man who gets what he wants, with one burning exception, Rue, the woman he can't stop thinking about, the woman who is off limits to him. They're torn between loyalty and undeniable attraction. They have a secret affair. But they're not in love. I don't know. I just like Ali Hazelwood. I've liked every book that I've read from her. This sounds steamy, and so I'm excited to read this as well. And then the newest, Leigh Bardugo, The Familiar. This is a dark historical fantasy set in Madrid during the Inquisition. We follow our main character, Lucia, who starts as a scullion. I don't know what that means. I think it's like a kind of servant. And she ends up using her like magical abilities. Now, the description does not specify what exactly that magical ability is, but she uses her miraculous gift to better her family's social position by providing like entertainment for nobility. Lucia plunges into a world of seers, alchemists, and holy men, where the lines between magic, science, and fraud are never certain. I just really like Leigh Bardugo, and I have not read a book set during the Inquisition, I think. And obviously this has a fantastical element to it, but I feel like it'll still be really interesting. Okay, the TBR to review. I finally picked a blue color. So we have House of Sky and Breath, as well as Betty by Tiffany McDaniel. This purpley maroon color, I have The Stars Too Fondly or Attached at the Hip. This cheerful yellow, I have The Vampires of El Norte and Trick Mirror to choose from. For this green, I'm planning to read Shark Heart, and for white, I'm planning to read Bride. And then again, these two library books that unfortunately did not get chosen, but I'm still planning to read this month, Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood and The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. Okay, that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching and for spending time with me. I really appreciate you. Let me know down below what books you are planning to read in July, or what are some of your options of books you're thinking of reading in July. I would love to know. Don't forget to like and subscribe and to click the bell to be notified of the next time I post, and I will see you in my next video.